can't keep me down. You 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 can't keep me down. Down.
See, you ain't rockin', for instance, you poppin', but you robbin'. Hip-hop are traditions, you ain't rappers, you more like crooked politicians. Part of whose creation, new nation, trying to fuck us with no lubrication. Raping, never losing to Lucifer, Satan, calling me Cain in the cave. Man in the cave, came close but never caved in. The false image of a prophet you praising. Living in a nation, living in intimidation due to primitive media manipulation. Terror tactics,
1 2 stars here.
We lack innovation.
Middle mega sound check.
Control your brain. The gullible puppets of the public get played like a board game. Get your jaw reconstructed. I ain't no puppet, ain't throwing up no diamond. Here's the middle finger, go shove it. Fuck the media posing as experts. Fuck the radio, fuck the television networks. I'm not apologizing, I don't care what the cost is. Go ahead, corporations, you can take back your endorsements. Fuck the media posing as experts. Fuck the radio, fuck the television networks. You could murder me before I let you take control.
My mind is my own and I trust in my soul.
Telling you their lies and you believe in it. The mob-minded media mentality speaking to the insecure sheep looking for leadership. Television producers looking for losers, looking for stupider viewers.
What's good? This is Osiris, Middle Mega, Ray Studios. What's good, Toy Mafia? Thanks for stopping by. Just a pop-up live. And it's somewhat of an emotional one for me. I grew up listening to hip-hop music, as I've mentioned before. It's not just that. I also grew up playing in orchestras all the way up throughout high school. And the same people that in those, you could call that liberal arts type of, if that's the proper term, medium, in that genre of creativity and art form. And I was never like the best. I played violin, viola, piano. It was never the best in all of that. But I loved it. Did my best in it. I held my own as an okay player, and hung a lot around with a lot of musicians and hip hop artists as well, and really think highly of the art form. And to see what's happening with it is tough to see, and it's tough to see just based on the timing of everything. People like Eminem came up in hip hop, right? I think he might be the same age as me, right around the same age as me. I lived in Michigan for a while. I started living in Michigan late 1996. And Eminem was on the hip hop scene back then. And he wasn't known by anybody nationally, but the Michigan hip hop scene was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable time to be alive there. And I saw Eminem play that's my biggest memories of Eminem, is seeing him play at, I believe it was the Shelter. I'm not good with remembering names of venues. I believe it was called the Shelter in Detroit. Don't know if it's still there. And I actually remember one of the last times I seen him. A lot of people didn't even, he was known. There was this place called the Hip Hop Shop that I never went to. I heard the legendary stories of, that he would go there with Royce the 5'9", rest in peace to Proof, and D12 was his group that he rolled with, and many other people that a lot of people that you might not even know that make beats behind the scenes, that ended up making beats that came out of Michigan, ended up making beats for 50 Cent back in the day, and just the talent out there in one of my favorite groups. Very biased. They're called Athletic Mike League. Still doing some stuff recently. Shout out to them. They probably don't even remember me, man. That's West Mike. I was on the same dorm floor as one of the members of Athletic Mike League, but that whole hip hop scene was all there, man. I think there was something like Fault Lines in Michigan, but it's bigger than that. It's also Ari the Rugged Man came out of New York, so I'm going to talk about him. But the impetus for this discussion and why I'm bringing it up is to see what's happened to Eminem, what's happened to hip hop. And it kind of started out with the bashing George Bush, which actually was based back in the day, but it changed. Here's the clip from Eminem that kind of started me down this path. Eminem's done this before. This is nothing new, but this one is a new one that just came out. But his sentiments here on Donald Trump that you're going to hear, there's there's nothing new here. He's doubling down on stuff he's been talking about since 2017.
When I start talking about Trump, I get too flustered in my head, and the shit that I want to say, there's too many things I want to say at once. So sometimes I start talking and I'm not able to convey the message the right way because I just get flustered and frustrated. Watching him play to his base that thinks that he cares about them, and it's actually the people that he cares about the fucking least. If you're talking about his core being, you know, a majority white middle class, what I don't understand is how in the fuck do you feel like you relate to a billionaire who has never known struggle his entire fucking life? I will say this, he talks a good one. And if you're in his base, you're a core, let's say you're going to the rallies or whatever, you watch him on TV, you hear him talking this shit, there's part of me that understands, like, all right, he's somehow still got them because he's brainwashing them into thinking that something great is gonna happen. Nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. I don't know, man. I get really flustered when I talk about it.
All that was another virtue signal. That's what we get a lot of. And I virtue signal too. This hat is a virtue signal. The kids are reading ISOM 2 right now, so I got just ISOM 1 here. So let's go old school with ISOM 1. That's a virtue signal. I don't have a problem with virtue signaling, but what's the signal? What's the virtue that you're signaling here? Going back to 2017, let me give a little bit more context. This is when it first really popped off with Eminem and this whole thing. He unleashed, you know, CNN got on board with this, of course, because it was anti-Trump right after Trump had won. Rapper Eminem unleashed a blistering 4.5-minute attack on President Donald Trump in a freestyle that aired Tuesday. This is 2017 again. I played this on the show before. They're very quick to, you know, block your video if you play it. But here's some of the lyrics on it here. He says, I can't do it like he does. It actually sounded good because he's like one of the greatest rappers of all time. His flow is unparalleled. Nobody can copy his flow, his skill level. But he says, it's the calm before the storm right here. Wait, how was I going to start this off? I forgot. Oh, yeah, that's an awfully hot coffee pot. Should I drop it on Donald Trump? Probably not. Okay, it's better than that when you get through it, but you just get the taste of it. It's just a stupid anti-Trump take. And I don't have a problem with his Trump take, really. Let me show you what he did there. He did this 4.5 minutes, and a lot of it was about Donald Trump. He was kind of ahead of the curve a little bit on that. The curve came a little bit, if I remember correctly, after that, it became way more popular to go after Donald Trump. But he received backlash because obviously a lot of people who support Trump are fans of Eminem, and they're like, wait a second, I'm not feeling you right now. So in 2018, a little bit less than a year later, Eminem came out with Kamikaze. The album's okay. They have that, Kamikaze has that one dope track with Royce on it that's crazy sick. But he says, any fan of mine who's a supporter of his, this is a lyric in a song, I'm drawing in the sand a line, you're either for or against. And then he comes out and then says this, if I could go back, I'd at least reword it. And I'd say, empathize with the people this evil serpent sold the dream to that he's deserted. He raps. Yeah, he says, was it even worth it? So he's basically, you know, with rap, you kind of do these vague, it's very common. I kind of like that style because you're like, is he talking about that or not? We don't know, but it sounded like he was talking about the BET freestyle and kind of saying, hey, maybe I should have attacked Trump and made sure you knew, white, working class, whoever, that you also buy my albums, that I don't have hate for you. And that's why he phrased that Trump derangement syndrome clip in that manner, to not piss off his consumer base. But I don't see that same energy from Eminem when it comes to coming at Joe Biden. In fact, Eminem's lyrics to, Eminem let Joe Biden use his song Lose Yourself for the campaign. So if you were consistent, I wouldn't have a problem with that take. You could be right about that take with Donald Trump, because notice that take is not substantive. And it's very similar. I keep bringing up this interview I just did because I'm just in my head recently, but Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai went at Vivek Ramaswamy. But notice what he didn't do. He didn't say Vivek Ramaswamy was wrong with his content. He said, I don't believe him. He's telling you what you want to hear. So Eminem kind of touched on that a little bit. So is Donald Trump saying things that are right, Eminem, and you just don't trust him? It's a pretty important distinction. But when I take a trip down memory lane, hip hop was much different. Intelligent Hoodlum had I think he went by Tragic after that. Am I wrong? I forget already. Intelligent Hoodlum had a song called Black and Proud. I've played this on the show before. It's a great hip hop song. And why do I play it? It's because this is what hip hop was. The thing that Eminem's involved with right now is a cultural thing. And he feels like, in my opinion, him, and I'm going to get to R.A. the Rugged Man in a second, that hip hop is a black thing. And that's fine if you want to call it that. You can say jazz is a black thing. You can say rock. You can say blues is a black. Whatever. Great. Then I appreciate whoever created it. Appreciate you, and it can branch into whatever else it is. But they view hip hop, and they grew up where hip hop was very, very black centric and was very, very pro black. But it was different. That was not critical race theory. It sounded like this. Hopefully, I don't know if they blocked this one here, but.
Black, I'm proud, 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 proud.
Love this song.
Black, I'm proud. Can't stop the bum rush. Blessed with the talented format. I'm kicking the earth like a doormat. The more I grow, the more I understand. And I don't really care about a grafted man, cause he wants to mold me, shape, and carve me. But I use my mind like Marcus Garvey. Dr. King was a man with a new faith. They got rid of him. That was the last day. Crew was Klux, the man of a clan. Called to crucify the intelligent black man. Honor is African to die as a dweller. Reach out to teach like Nelson Mandela. Power for all my people, the rebels back and the brothers are equal. So let's unite so we can all resist him. Black, the shade of the solar system. Freedom of speech, I scream it loud. Proud to be black, cause black I'm proud.
That was a very common theme back then. The pro-black songs and movements, they touched on racism, and those are topics that are all fine and legit to touch on. They did not view everything that happened in the world as racist. And hip-hop has changed. It's not the same art form anymore. And the reason why it's emotional to me is a lot of the people that I kind of grew up with in this, we kind of parted ways. I talked about Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, people I used to look up to in many avenues. Mika for her, I think, empowering message for women. And Joe Scarborough was he was a corporate Republican, but still religious, and would talk sports and college football, and he still talked baseball, and it was like politics wasn't the same as it is now. And that same thing happened in these avenues. Eminem, somebody who I grew up loving his songs, now we're on the opposite side. When we get to R.A. the Rugged Man, I remember before I left Facebook, I was on Facebook for a little bit, going up into like 2019, and then I didn't know what was going on in the world. I was still trying to I was probably in the process of digesting the red pill, then the pandemic hit, and then I was off of Facebook, and I was like, something doesn't feel right. And I was like, Twitter, even though it was always draconian, it felt like that was more of the platform that was giving me the philosophy, like, what's going on? I don't understand what's happening. Wasn't getting that from Facebook. And before I left Facebook, it's unfortunate. One of my favorite hip hop artists in Michigan, actually, I remember going to lunch with him and a couple other people. I think it was just one other person, actually. And it was the first time I ever had hummus before. And I still, to this day, love hummus. And I was with a rapper that goes by One Man Army, One Below, Binary Star. And before the pandemic even popped off, as the pandemic popped off early on in 2020, it was like, wait a second, we are in two different worlds. This is somebody I think very highly of, one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time. It's not a well-known person, but just for me, and just did absolutely beautiful music. This is Reality Check from, it's two people in this group, but this is their best work. It was almost like a Tribe Called Quest, like it was Fife and it was Sanam Silla and One Below. This is Reality Check, and this album, Binary Star, it's called, oh shoot, I feel stupid. I don't even remember the Masters of the Universe. I thought they had a different name than that, but Binary Star, Masters of the Universe. I remember listening to this I think it was on tape the first time I ever listened to this. Just absolutely incredible hip hop music right here. And we ended up on the opposite side of this thing. So a lot of people, and that's, you can take it outside of music, you could take it outside of hip hop, to family, to friends. These are fundamental differences here. And these are not things you can, in my opinion, overcome and still have the same type of relationship. The stuff that Eminem's saying there, and then not being consistent on the other side, there's no, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but that not that you can't be friends. I don't want any type of beef or anything to be antagonistic, but I'll still listen to your music though. He's gonna come in here.
This is how I represent. I rock the mic 110%. It's intimate. I keep the party moving like an immigrant. Binary star, superstar. It's no coincidence. Every verse is intricate. This ain't a circus in a tent. We don't get down like them clowns in the Kents. I'm used to being indigent. Who said it's all about the Benjamins? I want a fortune. I want to make music and hit the lottery. Fortunately, my music is never watery. That's how it gotta be as far as I can see. Maybe you should grab a telescope to see my view is like astronomy. It ain't all about economy. So the fact that all these MCs is making G's don't bother me. Honestly, my number one policy is quality. Never sell my soul is my philosophy. High velocity, lyrics like Nostradamus making prophecy. I told you cats a long time ago, it ain't no stopping me. I bomb your set, that's not a threat, it's a promise. Got everybody riding on my wagon like the Amish. But still I never claim to be a big rap star. Cause no matter who you are, it's still Allah who Akbar. Better believe this, most rappers can't achieve this. I'm bad to the bone, but x-rays can't even see this. See, I'm strategic, I let your money talk bullshit. Walk while I keep it rolling like paraplegics. Whoever's on the microphone, let it be known, you in danger. I got next like the Boston Strangler. You ain't never heard an MC speak like this. And Rodney King ain't never felt the beat like this.
That is the main theme.
This is special music to me. I think this is not like just listening to music. This is special to me. This verse right here is from a different person. Dope.
Get a grip on yourself, cause you ain't gripping minds. Life and times idolized. Rap guys out of line, careers I finalize. Collide with this serenade cyanide. You've applied for suicide. The thing that makes killers hide. Hang them high by their gold link necktie. And drain them dry into temper style. Now you ain't Kai, so you ain't that high. Wanna be aeronautic, then get swatted for acting fly. Masterminds, crafty rhymes. Went from drafty lines, they chill spines like the Alpines, running up on Sanam turbines, a close encounter of the worst kind. Go ask some cats and heard I'm lyrical turpentine. Who wanna taste mine? I carry hell on the waistline. God's give the baseline, so let the phlegm fly. I surmise 7-5 through the MI when I forcefully Jedi in the bull's eye. Red eye, heads fly, bad eye, sharp shoot, dead eye, snooze, proof, bed by. Mary Lou flipping eye, paper punk, ripping eye, stomping eye, simplify, represent temper. I signify, walking rhyme, make nothing similar. Or Gemini, we're in this perimeter, Septemini. Cats be cut dry, I'm a wild wet guy. I be raining precipitation till it's 1 inch from neck high. Rest fly kids, mid sky, without an alibi. Who said you rap tight? You come and rapper by a slice of this rap. Scalpel guys, quick as apple pie. I'm learned in all schools of thought and shit you baffle by. Conceptual, intellectual, fox lie. Silla oxide, rhymes flow like a rock slide. You must have forgot I slap your ass, knock, need and cockeyed. Battered, broken up, open cut, dipped in peroxide. Death to the pot fly.
Usually I don't do request numbers, unless of course I have been asked to do so.
Just special music that has a special place in my heart. That's not, I mean, I can't even describe that. That's love. Is what for that music, for that stuff. And back in the day, I would go and see them, man, at every venue, a lot of it in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I remember traveling. I had a broke down. It wasn't broke. I actually liked the Honda Accord. What did they call them? LX, like a 92. Those are good cars, actually. But, driving that all over the place to travel and see them. And sometimes it'd be like 20 people in the venue. I remember one time it was in the dorm. It was like 10 people in there. It was one of my favorite concerts of all time. And they did shows in front of many other people too. Got bigger as that time, because I remember when they just came out, and they got bigger. And I was able to interview him. I did a hip hop radio show. I interviewed the guy who had the first verse on that. I interviewed both of them actually. Unfortunately, they had beef. Hopefully, they had squashed that afterwards. But I interviewed them individually. And both of them are amazing people. But the first one below, had the first verse, and I interviewed him. I had it on CD. So I did a show and a non-commercial radio. I recorded it, burned it to CD, copied like 100 of them, and I would go to the hip hop shows and I would hand out. So I handed out the CD that had like all their dope tracks in it. And then as interludes, I would put clips from the interview. And I don't have it anymore. I lost all of that stuff. I would love to go back and listen to it. I do have a little bit of stuff from that time frame, but not that great. That was one of my favorite moments. I think he's a good guy. We just part ways now because I think the pro-black has become toxic. We talked about him like that's not what it was before. It wasn't anti-white. It wasn't hate. It was, I'm proud. I'm like, okay, I was never really an identitarian, but I could rock with that. Eminem, it's inconsistency to me. Eminem talks about the Trump and all that. Well, Eminem, he associated himself with the Joe Biden campaign. This is from 2020. A lot of stuff happened in 2020. I don't know if this might be behind a paywall to read the full story. I might be blocked out of it. But Eminem allowed Joe Biden to use his classic song, Lose Yourself, as a campaign. It says, you've got one opportunity, something like that. Don't waste it or something like that. And then at the end, it said, go to vote. So you're going to come out talking about Donald Trump's doing this, lying to all these people and trying to kind of cozy up and say, well, I got kind of intimating like, oh, I'm with you guys, but why are you listening to this liar here? They used your song for Joe Biden. Do you want me to begin on all the problems with Joe Biden? You're not there. Why is he not there? That's the next question. These are very smart people. Don't look at these. I mean, I look at them as lyrical poets. They're ninjas. I told my son earlier or yesterday, these hip hop, because I have a mug with like Ice Cube and Snoop and just big name stuff on it in like a cartoon form. It's kind of a cool coffee mug. And my son's like, who are those people? And I was like, they're all rappers. And actually, you heard Ice Cube in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. He was the Fly in the movie. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm not playing those songs for him. Yeah, they're still a little young for that, but they've heard some hip hop. But I told them they use this tough exterior and all they are poets. And Eminem is a great poet. He's amazing artist. R.A.'s amazing artist. You heard One Below just right there. That's timeless music to me right there. And the lyrics and the rhyme scheme and the patterns and then the chorus and how it all comes together. And why does Eminem do that? Because to me, it's the same thing that we saw with the women's soccer team. You see the poison of, I think it has to be called out, the poison of Democrat politics filters into the culture because they know that culture is more powerful and more important than any piece of legislation that you go out on the street and you talk to a random 100 people, they have zero idea what it is. But they know who Eminem is, though. So Eminem is more powerful. And then underneath Eminem, you've got people who R.A.'s a living legend in his own right, but not as well known as Eminem. And One Below as well, a Michigan legend, hip-hop artist. And you've got this ideology that filters in through. And it started to me with the George Bush stuff. So people, and I was all for that, pushing back on George Bush. But then when Trump came, it seemed like the ideology was taken over, as you could see there. And I tweeted this after I saw the Eminem clip, which didn't surprise me. So I'd seen it a while before I even responded, because I was like, okay, Eminem's still on that bullshit. And I responded here, that's going to take us to R.A. the Rugged Man. I said, what happened to Eminem is the same as what happened to R.A. the Rugged Man. I believe these are intelligent men with good hearts who feel an obligation to align with black politics. You can substitute black politics with Democrat politics, because that's what black politics are. When you have 90% of the population consistently, not just one election. I went back, I don't know, was it to 70 something? I don't know what the earliest one I've done it, where I've gone every single general election. The lowest might be 84 during that time or something like that, maybe 82. So that's why I think that's being done. I really do. And I stand by my take. When I first did this channel, one of the first videos I was going to do, or actually, yeah, I think one of the first videos I was going to do on this channel was a kind of like a shout out to R.A. the Rugged Man. I've never released it, never shown it. I don't know if I've even talked about it on the show. R.A. the Rugged Man screenshotted my tweet and replied, so we'll get to that. But this is, I have not even looked at this since this. So I said, who is R.A. the Rugged Man? And I put his name in there, his real name, rapper, screenwriter, film director, producer, at the time, 46-year-old. I wrote this whole thing, and this is before ChatGPT. So I always like to try and write to you. I don't even want to tell you how long it took me to kind of write this stuff out. It took hours. I'm just not good at writing. He used to make tapes and pass them around at school. R.A. the Rugged Man, he was on Tim Pool. That's how maybe many of you might know him. But I know him way more than that. At a young age, he was always known for his lyrics. He signed with Jive Records. At 18, they played him. That the music business is, Tribe Called Quest called it out, Q-Tip. The music industry is shady. Music legends such as Aaliyah, KRS-One, all on that same label, Mobb Deep. Jive was like the one of the record labels back then. He got props from Biggie and other labels wanting to sign him. He earned the reputation of being hard to work with. He was kind of a hothead and all that. He's young. I was much different at 18 myself. He's still a hothead now, but you know, when you're young, they shelved his debut album, Night of the Bloody Apes, which is a really good album from back then. It has that old school style to it. And I was going to do a whole rating system. I didn't even get to go into all that. He ended up on Capitol Records, made the album American Lowlife. The same thing happened. They shelved. Imagine being in your 20s, immensely talented. He's as talented as Eminem. I mean, well, maybe a little bit less, but he's in that realm. With Busta and Eminem are like on a high lyrical and all that kind of stuff. R.A.'s right up there with them, though. Not many people are up there like that. Tech Nine and artists like that. Imagine being in your 20s, immensely talented, squandering $1.8 million. The year is 1999 now. In 2001, Max died. He has a hell of a story. Max was R.A. the Rugged Man's brother, born handicapped and blind. He has some great songs and references to that. You know, sometimes tragedy, hurt brings out some of the best artwork. Unfortunately, I guess there's that yin and the yang, and there's that positive to it. His father was a vet. He was open with everything. His father was a Vietnam vet who suffered from the effects of Agent Orange. He doesn't use any of this as any type of victimhood type of thing. I just want to tell the story. It's a great, and it's tragedy, but it shows you the dude has character. And when I made my tweet about him, notice I didn't mince any words, but I do think highly intelligent. And I think the two things I think are highly intelligent and good-hearted. Those are the two things that I put from what I know. I don't know them personally, but from what I know of them. His sister, his sister, I believe, was born with the defect and passed away as well. if I'm not mistaken. I forget the total story. I don't know if I put it all in there, but his sister passed away. More tragedy. So after that, I started doing reviews of the album. I'm just showing you this because I don't even know if I really even finished the whole thing. I was like, this dude RA can rock a beat. He's an MC who doesn't bring beats down. He adds lyrics as another percussion. He uses his voice as a percussion instrument with growling delivery. He's a dope producer's dream. And that's why, in part, it hurts to have to call out cowardice, ignorance that I'm seeing from him, but I do have to call it out. I feel an obligation to call it out. It's not calling it out to have beef or in a negative way. I'm calling it out to hopefully you can take a mirror to yourself. Hopefully you can point and tell me where I'm wrong. That's part of the benefit of calling this stuff out. R.A. the Rugged Man screenshotted me. I don't know how I even. Oh, he did tweet. He did. Okay. He did tag me. My apologies. I thought he just screened. I was like, how did I find it if he didn't tag me? He did tag me. Did a screenshot. He says to my comment where I said, what happened to Eminem is the same as what happened to R.A. the Rugged Man. I believe these are intelligent men with good hearts who feel an obligation to align with black politics. Why did I think of R.A.? Well, I'm a fan of R.A. And I'm a fan of Tim Pool. So I just kind of thought of Eminem, and then I just thought of R.A. at that time. And then he says, what does this, with a laughing emoji, what does this even mean? We feel obligated to align with black politics. And he says, because we don't suck off Trump. And I don't blame him. If you see MAGA in the title, you probably think I'm on my knee pads for Donald Trump. I'm not going to blame you for that. But I do have a response. He would never respond to me. I said, show me where 90% plus, this is actually, we're going back and forth here. Somebody said, so is Trump and other conservatives white politics? I don't have any problem calling something white politics if it is. I think you have to really drill down to white, non-college educated, and you still don't get to the 90% that black is. Maybe I think you get to 70, maybe, I don't even know if you get to 80. I don't think you get to 80%. I don't know you can drill down the white identity enough to get to 80% of support of Republicans or anything like that. Definitely not going all the way back to the 70s. You're not finding it. So, but if there's something there, if there's a pattern there, I'll call it out. But he said, so is Trump and other conservatives white politics? Because there's a history behind that, which I'm sure he wouldn't like to acknowledge. He's talking about me. Please tell me. I don't know what you're referring to. I mean, be specific. But I said, show me where 90% plus of white people vote for a political party every single election. That's black politics. I didn't define that. Who self-describing black people did that themselves, aligning with the Democrat Party no matter who. I said, well, look at this. R.A. the Rugged Man, he's fine with talking about against Trump. And he's against Biden too. But he's not with the same energy, that's for damn sure. And the bigger thing is, he doesn't talk about things that go against this idea of black politics. Because hip hop, he grew up in hip hop. It was mostly black dominated, almost like the NBA. So in that culture, you're festered, that's the culture you know. So then you grow up thinking, okay, I have to pay homage to, this is what I have to do to earn my ability to make a living off of this craft, is just my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'd be happy to hear. Here's what I see. R.A. the Rugged Man's a businessman. He's been through hell in the music industry. One of the toughest, nastiest industries on the face of the earth, probably like other than politics. R.A. knows it makes no sense for a group of people to constantly vote for the same corporation because you have no negotiating power. So Eminem's not saying that. So are you okay? Maybe R.A. is good and okay with saying, yeah, maybe you should go to a different, I believe he's voted for Jill Stein. So it's fine. Pick somebody else and go with it. But this is where I'm talking about with black politics. Do you understand what it means? He's being disingenuous. He would never reply to this because that's what happened when he was on Tim Pool. This tweet from R.A. the Rugged Man is a virtue signal. He says, what does this even mean? We feel obligated to align with black politics because we don't suck off Trump? He doesn't, it's a rhetorical, it's not, I don't think that's the even right word. It's a real question that he doesn't want an answer to. And I kind of went through it and said his question was disingenuous. He doesn't want a genuine discussion. That's why he blew up on Tim Pool's show, because Tim Pool was bringing facts and reasonable opinions that if R.A. the Rugged Man had agreed with those reasonable opinions, he could be considered anti-black. When he was on with Tim Pool, he kept saying, you guys say this, he didn't know anything. He obviously didn't know anything about the show, but arrogant, ignorant, trying to say like, oh, I think Tim Pool's basically a racist. You guys think this about race. Why are you worried about critical race theory in this way? But then Tim breaks it down like, okay, this is what they're showing. He, at one point in the show, and I'll show a couple little clips, they talk about the book called Not My Idea. And Tim's like, R.A., I know you don't, he's trying to, Tim's at that point was trying to, he got a little heated later, and they both got heated. But at that point, Tim was trying to say in the nicest ways, like, hey, you don't know. Like, he didn't know R.A. was off and wrong about the Rittenhouse trial. He didn't know. So they're trying to say like, bro, we kind of live this. We know what's going on. Let me tell you what we see. And he wouldn't let them do that. Why? Because if what they saw was true and he agreed with it, that's why a lot of people don't go on the show. I think that's probably why Shoe and Head and others don't go on. Some others might not go on the show, is because if he says certain things in a way, they're not looking for agreement. So they were actually talking about this book right here that I did a video on with R.A. the Rugged Man. And at this time, I think I noted it. This book, at some point I noted how many schools it was in, but that was a while back, so I don't know how many schools it's in now. But this is the book they're trying to say. They said, R.A., they got white people in the book literally as the devil.
The author goes on to say, whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Dude, we can see your ponytail. I'm not really sure. I don't understand that part of the book as much, but maybe one of you can explain it to me.
Yeah, I do need to explain it to you. It's the devil is what they're showing. Yeah, that's an important part of the book to know. It's the pointy tail is the tail of the devil, associating whiteness with the devil. Now, let me be clear that this author, in my opinion, because this whole thing is interpretation. The author, in my opinion, is not saying all white people are the devil. They're saying all white people that don't agree with this concept in this book is the devil. Now, I know that's not much better, but I just want to make sure I understand the difference. And that's why, so this person reading the story, when they read it, they kind of skip the whiteness part when they're reading the contract. Because I think that it's rubbing them the wrong way, and they want to clean that up for the younger audience that they're talking about. And she doesn't even understand that they're saying that it's a deal with the devil. It's a devil saying whiteness is the devil. So anyone who does not agree with this has succumbed. Again, it doesn't matter about race. That would include me. Anyone who does not agree with this book and this concept here is a part of whiteness, systemic racism, white supremacy, creating systemic racism. You are a victim of the system of systemic racism, and you are the devil in this book. So there was always that thought of systemic racism in hip hop, and even the pro-black kind of movement that I didn't have as much a problem with, but it was never about that. It was never about going to schools and teaching white people are the devil. That was never a part of it. And that's what it turned into. When R.A. the Rugged Man was on the show, and he was asking, what is the black politics I'm referring to? R.A., you don't have to go far to find it. This is from the episode when he was on with Tim Pool. Here we go. How would you describe this, R.A.? Maybe it's not black politics. Is this anti-white?
the re-embodiment of a lot of these same problems.
What's your biggest fear of critical race theory that's going to happen? A white boy comes home and goes like, "Mom, are we evil?" That's your biggest fear?
That's messed up.
But is that your biggest fear?
No.
Is that your biggest fear that you think that?
But is that right? Is that okay?
My fear
yes,
is.
it is okay.
Do you think that is okay?
Yes, it is okay.
You
yes,
think someone
I do believe,
learning to hate themselves
no,
is okay?
they're not hating themselves. They ask the question. Like, they look at their history and say, look at all the evil white people have done in America.
And authority figures are saying
Yeah,
it's only. But why are we only focusing on them? Why not all the other evils?
There's a lot of other things being taught in
what
school.
about
So why are you only?
Why aren't Japanese people told the same thing?
Why aren't you only focusing on critical race theory like it's the boogeyman, like it's the scariest thing that ever happened, and you're celebrating, ban it, ban it, ban it?
Bro, that was one clip.
Because it's
I mean,
teaching
we
people
talk
to
about
No,
each other.
you've been against CRT, man.
No.
Come on.
I know, but what I'm saying is the re-embodiment.
So he's ignorant and arrogant, and he literally says it's a good thing if a white boy, in his words, he's talking about a child, but he uses white boy just to, I don't know, it's almost like to bend the knee to black people. He uses white boy to call grown men that too. And he says it's okay if a white boy goes home to mommy and says, "Are we evil?" He literally says, "Is that okay?" That wasn't a part of it. Maybe I had a better upbringing, or upbringing that was avoided of that. I never heard anything like that when I was younger.
Of a lot of these same problems.
What's your biggest fear of critical race theory that's going to happen? A white boy comes home and goes like, "Mom, are we evil?" That's your biggest fear?
That's messed up.
Actually, RA, that is one of the biggest fears. I don't know. Maybe you don't want a white boy to have to come home and say, like, "Mommy, they taught us that white was evil." They read this book called Not My Idea. They had the white person as the devil, literally like religion, like the devil. "Mommy, are we evil?" Yeah, RA, that is a problem.
Comes home and goes like, "Mom, are we evil?" That's your biggest fear?
That's messed
Yeah, it is, RA. You've got it. I think, stop right there. Yeah, that is. No. He confirms that he likes it.
up.
But is that your biggest fear?
No.
Is that your biggest fear that you think that?
But is that right? Is that okay?
My fear
Yes,
is.
it is okay.
No. Luke is like, wait, hold up, bro. Hold up. Is that okay?
Do you think that is okay?
Yes, it is okay.
You
Yes,
think
I do
someone
believe.
learned
Yes, it is okay. So I don't know. Maybe black politics is the wrong word. RA, is it white hate? I don't. What's the better term for it, bruh? Don't play these games with me. He feels like he needs to do this to keep his stay in hip hop card. Because you know what happens if he doesn't do that? I did a quote tweet off of him again with RA. I said, "RA, we both know what's going on." He recently got invited to MIT. You know who doesn't let Trump supporters in the building like that? Not like this. MIT.
So no further ado. A legend, an absolute legend in the space of hip hop and rap. Saw him perform for the first time last night. And one of the most incredible, like, technically performed shows I've ever seen. Right? In my mind, the most technical performer.
I never got to see him live, but from the videos I've seen of him performing live, he's very meticulous with, he wants his shows to be good and hype. Much respect to that. And that's Lupe Fiasco, if you don't know, another hip hop artist, black male hip hop artist. And Ari the Rugged Man tweeted about it. He said, "Highlight of my month, the great Lupe Fiasco," who has a lot of great songs. "Lupe Fiasco invited me to speak at MIT. A positive, proud moment for me." So that's because you have the right politics, RA, and the right politics are Democrat corporate politics, RA, and Democrat corporate politics, RA, are black politics. Do you get it yet? Don't play games with me, bro. Don't be disingenuous. I need to hear real talk from you. You got your cute little at MIT in there too. I know, from what I know of you, RA, you're not a bitch like this. Something got to rub you the wrong way about this. You got your little at MIT in here. You proud MIT let you in the building? you're independent thinker. Some of his lyrics, you look at his songs. You know, the funny thing that it kind of hurt me to see when he was on Tim Pool is that they should agree on a lot. They agree on a lot of things. And I think Luke even brought that up during the show. He's like, the dude has songs that are like questioning the establishment and authority, and we could talk about all that. And you know what throws that divide in it? Critical race theory. And you know what else would cut that card? You wouldn't be able to, RA, if you put on the red hat, you wouldn't be at MIT to be there with Lupe Fiasco. I can guarantee you that. So I look at you now and we're not on the same side and you don't have any courage. I know that it's not true within you, but you are acting bitch-made. I know you're not one. But that's how you're acting. So that's how you'll have to be labeled by me. So let me know what you think about that. Rage on behalf of the machine. Metalopoly, great friend of the show. Thanks for stopping by. Good to just do a live to see some people I haven't chatted with in a while. One of the best, man, Metalopoly. Rage on behalf of the machine. That's what it's turned into. And you can see why I have started to, there's talent, don't get me wrong, but I think there's other parts of it too that have pushed me to really kind of side with and listen to artists like Bryson Gray. Bryson Gray has the courage. I don't need you to agree with Bryson Gray, RA. I just need some acknowledgement that this stance is more courageous than your stance. This stance ain't going to get you invited to MIT. So it's a little different. So Bryson, not like, because Bryson has skills with that courage. That's hard to find. There's a lot of people with courage that don't have the skills. A lot of people with skills that don't have the courage. Like Eminem, this is Bryson from, last year or something like that? It's a diss track.
I find it funny that my songs get banned for offending the LGBT, but Eminem used to threaten them in his songs, and his music is still up. I got the answer.
Because he's bent the knee, that's why.
I can make a song like Eminem. Here we go.
Stop! That's gay.
We know why Eminem has. This is the video here, the music video version.
Why every gay man is like stereotypical black women? Why every feminist grow up to be cat women? Why can't we force workout plans on fat women? I need to lose a few pounds too, but that's different. Eminem had a curse to sell records, but I don't. I mean, he sold a solo and whoa, but I won't. I keep getting banned for all these lyrics I wrote, which means they probably banned a Bible song, because that's what I quote. You think what I'm saying is very wild? Why people adopt kids just to be better and wonder why kids grow up dressing like Harry Styles? They said they coming for the kids, it's getting carried out. Bryson, are you homophobic? Yes, 97% on the homophobia test, but I was 3% off, so I wasn't impressed. All people, they should be under arrest. They say the song's so offensive, but only if you get offended.
I love this. He did a little Eminem diss song talking about how Eminem went woke, and that wokeness gives him the cover to do a lot of other things a lot of people won't do. Bryson Gray brand everywhere, Eminem promoted. RA going to MIT. MIT, can you invite Bryson Gray for a speech? I mean, this dude is really knowledgeable on the Bible. You can do some type of theology class. Yeah, I highly doubt that would happen.
Eminem threatened gay people in his songs. I'm not that bad. I just wanted to Iran or Baghdad. I mean, they want to leave anyway. Why are they that mad? I'm not mean. I just have questions I want to ask. Why are men paying no dresses to be edgy? Back in high school, I would've gave them a wedgie. Trans people scream out, why won't society accept me? But they didn't accept themselves, or they ain't ready. They say, Bryson, are you homophobic? Yes. Well, are you transphobic too? Yes. I mean, I don't know who I value less. A harlots on us are showing their breasts. Being the president isn't a job for women, calm down. Put on the dress, back to the kitchen. We used to shame degenerates, but now it's different. We turn from God, now on TV, two men kissing.
That is the essence of hip hop right there. Creativity. And look at him just recording at the crib or wherever.
So offensive, but only if you get offended. Why are you mad? I can't offend you without your permission, and you don't even have to listen. Bro, just cut it off. They say the song's so offensive, but only if you get offended. You literally turn it off. I can't offend you without your permission, and you don't even even have to listen. Okay, one more time. They say the song's so offensive, but only if you get offended. Everybody sing along. I can't offend you without your permission, and you don't even have to listen. Hands in the air. They say the song's so offensive, but only if you get offended. I can't offend you without your permission, and you don't even have to listen.
Please leave your message after the tone. Oh no, he did not just say all that.
Mike Has Bad Needs says that Letters to the Church actually has some bangers on it. That is a good album. I don't play enough songs off that album. So he did a little drop at the end of them. This is switchtoamerica.com. At least I could do is shout it out if I'm going to play his video. Switch to America. I don't know much about it. I think it's kind of like an Amazon, is it? It's got different products. It's a company, one of those companies that doesn't seem to hate you for what you believe. So that's Bryson Gray and why I've gone that route. It's easy to see now. It's not hard to see at all. Jordan Lott, it's with great sadness. I hate to do this because Jordan's been so positive and I'd much rather be positive, Jordan Lott. But and we'll get there maybe. Life is a roller coaster. I want you to stay, be you, do you, man. I haven't chatted with you in a minute, man. Libertarian-minded, focused. Who I would suggest you look at, Jordan? I don't know if you looked at Jordan Lott. I was really surprised. I didn't realize how libertarian Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai was. But Jordan Lott says Vivek, Cornel West, Afro Man 2024, all the awesome candidates. Dave Smith needs to run. Run, Dave, run. 2024 is going to be dope. I don't know. I'm not hearing good things. Maybe, I don't know if these things are true or not. I've heard that, Dave I haven't been able to catch the show in a minute. I haven't caught the show probably regularly since the RFK video dropped, and haven't been able to get part of the problem with Robbie the Fire Bernstein and Dave Smith. I think I caught a couple other ones, but not. I used to watch every second right when it came out. That's been difficult recently. But I hate to say this, Jordan. I'm a little soured on the Mises Caucus movement. And maybe you can say something to pick me up on it. I do have a problem with the Mises Caucus movement right now, and I don't think I've said a negative word about the movement. I've talked about Maj, but I got a problem with the movement now, and I'll show you real briefly, Jordan, why I have that, and everybody else, why I have that problem is we've been talking about Maj Touré. And Maj Touré is, I don't know if Jeff Charles is associated with Mises Caucus. I don't know. I don't even know who Jeremy Kauffman is, but I know I follow him. He has good takes. He says the biggest reason I supported the LP Mises Caucus, this is the Libertarian Party, and I've said nothing but glowing words about the Mises Caucus. Still think highly of them. This is concern. Life is a roller coaster. Was the cringe racial pandering of the Joe Jorgensen campaign. So I think I touched on that in another live. I'm going to take it a little bit more in depth. I said Mises has a serious problem with Maj. He's quickly undoing all of their hard work. It's tough to watch. I hope they figure it out because I didn't sign up with the Libertarian Party for corporate. I don't have this sticker on my laptop, and now I'm like, I'm not taking it off because it's representing the Libertarian Party. I might have to put something over it if we don't see something with this Maj problem for me. Y'all can do whatever you want to do, but this is incompatible with liberty, and I'll show you what I mean here. Just cringe. I use that word too much. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's like you physically freeze up when I see this type of argument here. And the argument here is we're going to talk about, Maj was talking about a bunch of different things. But before we get to that, I'm a big fan of Michael Heiss. I've been calling him the Steve Bannon of the Libertarian Party. But Steve Bannon, he was able to get black males from the Democrat Party without without leading with identitarianism. And I don't know if this is true or not. This is from other people. Some people say that Michael Heiss and Maj, Michael Heiss is cool with Maj. Heiss is fine with what Maj is saying. Don't forget Maj was Heiss's choice for Dave Smith's VP. I do know that. And that was going to be a no-go for me, obviously. Dave decided to sit out the president race, which is Eric Griffin. I have no reason to think he's wrong, because we're getting late down. I mean, they got to announce within a couple of weeks to me, or otherwise something crazy is going on. They shouldn't. I don't know if they're looking at. I don't know what they're doing. So whether or not Maj is good or bad, the leadership is fine with him. I really like talking with these libertarian people. They're not like abrasive. So somebody replied and said, Dave versus Goliath said, I agree the word reparations, so we got on the topic of reparations now. I agree the word reparations is probably too far gone and not worth fighting for, but his position is consistent with libertarian principles. And already I'm starting to, sometimes before the headache comes, you start to get that, ooh, am I going to get a headache in a couple minutes or a half an hour? And when you said, this tweet says reparations, and then it says consistent with libertarian principles, and I'm like, ow, my head hurts. What are you talking about? Yeah, this is where they went with it here. Just terrible stuff.
Reparations. Everybody that watches Game of Thrones, everybody was like, Khaleesi's the rightful ruler. Her brother was an absolute piece of shit. As the story progresses, you recognize, oh shit, Jon Snow's actually the rightful ruler. If you understand this concept of things were going one way, a group of people or a person or family member was wronged, and then property, stuff, and the lineage was broken, and that group of people needs to be made whole again, you fully understand the concept of reparations. I want to clarify.
So he's talking about reparations, and he said, this is the part that kind of got me like, wait, what?
You fully understand the concept of reparations, and that group of people needs to be made whole again.
Wait, what? Who needs to be made whole again? Let me just continue a little bit more.
Then property, stuff, and the lineage was broken, and that group of people needs to be made whole again. You fully understand the concept of reparations.
Now you see why when Libertarian Party of New Hampshire did that tweet, it was, I don't know who made the meme. The meme was brilliant. And it had the meme where it was like, it's my right. I forgot the exact meme already. Wow. I think it was about like, it's my right to free health care. And I got to find it real quick. I want to show the meme, because I never really did a full segment on that, I don't think. Right, free. I have a lot of, I'm just trying to find that LP. That thing went viral. Nina Turner got involved, Maj. So you can see how it happened, where he says those people need to be made whole again. How does that work? When you mean those people need to be made whole again? If you want to do that, like I'm just kind of doing a comparison. I'm for Medicare for all, but that you don't need. I think it's the right thing to do, but you don't need to. So his argument to me should be, it's the right thing to do. Don't say those people need to be made whole again. Ain't nobody have a right to be made whole again. Lucky to be alive is the message that I would send. It's not like this happened yesterday and you're like, I want reparations for it after all the years and all that, and it wasn't a cultural thing, a world phenomenon throughout the world culturally. So I can't find I can't find it right now, but the meme was basically the argument where it was making the argument was your right to get something to free is equated to slavery, and you can see why he would agree with that. I'll play a little bit more of this.
I want to clarify, because there's this straw man argument that I'm advocating for. Because I'm black and because y'all are white, y'all owe me $20 each. That's fucking retarded. We don't even got to go far back as slavery. We can talk about segregation. We can talk about land grants being removed. We can talk about after so-called emancipation, where the federal government says, okay, we fucked this group of people up. We fucked them up.
We owe you this. And
we'll give you 40 acres and a mule. That was reparations.
Yep.
The United States government said, psych.
Default.
That happens all the time.
Contracts.
Even in a libertarian environment, that's going to happen. You'll have decentralized government. You wouldn't have a federal of government, but you'll have people in your community that you have to make decisions. That's just how life works. And they're going to be like, well, the previous bruh promised that. I ain't the previous bruh. So I don't know.
Libertarians love contracts.
Right. It was like, here's a contract, and then fucking Allen Iverson crossed you over like, fuck no. Pump faked you. When you tie land and home ownership and equity over time, you're talking about continuing after the government said we were wrong, we fucked this group of people up. You're continuing that. And I'm not talking about these tap dancing ass motherfuckers, you know, that just Johnny come lately, like cut the check and just saying it with no practical fucking application. There are people that have done work. Before Johnny Cochran died, he had this thing called the Reparations Assessment Group, where he was literally going to talk.
What I'm looking at here is, this is the second time I've watched this. He said it's not like I'm saying I'm black, you're white, so you each have to give me $20. So I'm trying to figure out, why is it not like that? I haven't heard that yet.
Insurance companies that benefited and still have maintained a profit from the captivity of African-American people. We have to acknowledge this, bro. The quicker we acknowledge this, the quicker race relations will get better in America. And if
so the argument for reparations is that will help race relations. You think that money is going to solve the relationship problem that we have in this country? And not that I would be for it, even if it did. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But what is the argument where, oh, you and your wife have a terrible relationship, but if you get more money, everything will be okay? Maybe it will, but do you think so? Like if you're with somebody like you don't get along with, all of a sudden you're going to get money and it's going to be better? That's how you repair the relationship, Maj? So none of it at this point makes sense. He just sounded like I wouldn't know. I would have thought he was like a Nina Turner staffer at this point.
You're talking about this as a libertarian from a property rights. There was a family in California like last year that proved that the California government took their fucking great whatever's home. It was fucking beachfront property in LA. They had to give it back. So if you're talking about property rights as a libertarian, you're talking about the state violating people, which also, by the way, included murder from a libertarian perspective. We cannot pretend that there should be a statute of limitations on death, rape, pillage, property violations.
So who's going to be punished? Murder is a criminal offense.
And as a people that were looked at as property, I'll give you even this. You know the motherfuckers that lost their property, that owned humans, because it was not all white people in America. It wasn't. The people that owned humans after emancipation, do you know the government gave some of that land that was earmarked for those black people to the fucking captive owners? If a motherfucker like me knows that and is articulating it in a way,
You're not articulating it very well.
That's not saying, yeah.
Guys, this is Mises Caucus. I mean, it's almost like somebody took the Mises Caucus was a party and I was feeling good. I did that live and the audio was bad, but I did that live and it was like, man, the Mises Caucus, and I loved it. And then now it's almost like somebody took a dump in the pool and I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to have to get out. Like, let's clean that out first and then we'll get back in. And that's Maj Toure.
You guys, both, since you're white, you owe me money, because no one ever fucking says that,
okay,
other than TV.
Wait, so what are you saying?
If I can articulate this position this way, there is no way that somebody can't go now, because maybe it could be the tax conversation. I don't think there should be any taxes, right? We have to look for things that are...
What is the tax conversation? Like only black people don't pay taxes? That's literally saying because I'm black, you pay money and then give it to me. What is the argument here? And besides, this person said the libertarian approach?
They're going to heal. And if we want to heal...
There ain't nothing libertarian about this. This is... Slavery was an obviously like the definition of like the most raw authoritarian act. His decision is authoritarian in return will fix it. That's like R.A. the Rugged Man type stuff.
Apology has changed behavior and fixing the situation. So I think that conversation around, and again,
what needs to be fixed? What's the problem? That's where I start with. I did that video with Tucker and talking about how to think through these things critically. It was a while back. And I said, I always got to start with making sure we identify what is the problem here that you have identified. I haven't seen the problem. You need to articulate the problem first before we even talk about it, because I probably don't even agree with the problem. So why would we even talk about reparations if we can't agree on the problem?
And I'm not the subject matter expert. I have done some study on it, and I know way more thoroughly involved and more intelligent people in that lane. But I think it's a conversation to have, and I think it does not. It's not in opposition to a libertarian position. If I was saying, just fire up the money printers and just give the money to black people for being black, as if there was not all of these things that we just discussed there, then I could agree with some of those guys that were giving me more pushback. But that's not what
I'm still unclear on the take, but I didn't hear any liberty positions there about liberty. So Dave versus no beef with Dave. I don't even know who Dave versus Goliath is, but they said consistent with liberty. What principles are you referring to? Maybe you have a different definition then. So that's what we'll have to ask. Like, what do you believe libertarianism is? I say that often, peace. So that means I don't have beef with you unless you have beef with me. If you aggress upon me, then I've got defense. And that's still a peace position. And so that's why I said the funding of this country, the Revolutionary War, was a peaceful defensive position. They'd never declared war on Great Britain. Britain said, y'all gonna have to stay with us. And they're like, no, we can do what we want to do. We want to do it peacefully, but if you have to throw hands, we will. That is a peaceful position. So peace, prosperity, so private property rights that you have to defend or somebody will take them. And then also decentralization. So that doesn't fit to me with the idea of liberty.
Super bigot.
So I did this here and I said, what a ridiculous clown show of a take. Maj is not a libertarian. He's an identitarian black Democrat. We will agree on some things because he is more liberty oriented than other corporate Democrats do, but he is at his core. That's a very core issue. There's nothing more core to the idea of liberty than slavery, which is the opposite of liberty. So if you can't get the slavery take right, you don't have the liberty take right. It's not possible for me. So I said he's an identitarian black Democrat, and that is clearly to me what you see there. And then my final, I think I put one other kind of final take on it. Like, what's my libertarian take on reparations? It's very simple. The libertarian take on reparations is to decentralize power, which gives everyone more liberty. The more we decentralize power, the more we get rid of the DOJ, the DOE, the ATF, the CIA, and Maj would agree with that, but I don't know why he's not talking about it there. The libertarian take is to get rid of peacefully through peaceful means. Secession is peaceful. I'm done with this relationship. There's no obligation for me to be in I never made an agreement. You have to have enough people to get the political power to do it without problems. But we're out. Texas, Florida, whatever else, other states, we're out peacefully. That is a libertarian take on reparations, to decentralize the power of the central government. And the opposite of slavery is that liberation. So if a libertarian can't get that right, they're useless to me. And Maj is trash for the liberty movement. And he's going around the cities trying to court black people, I guess. And I'm sorry that I'm sounding like Neo. No, I'm not going to apologize like Neo did. I feel bad that the tone isn't more positive. Help me try to be more positive. Broken Tradition says he's not articulating his point well. I would love to, and somebody said if they talk Maj with me, I don't know if Maj would want to talk with me. I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me. I don't want to be disrespectful to no man. He's a grown ass man. I don't need to be disrespectful, but I've got strong disagreements, so that's what's going to happen. But no, he didn't do a good job there. So I think we got to talk those things through. We've got to start with what's the problem. Anybody, Broken Traditions might be friend of show. River from Right Left to Center is for reparations. I ain't got no beef with her. But for people, I would have to talk and say, well, okay, reparations is your solution to something. What is the problem? That's where we will have, because if you say the problem is that your ancestors have been wronged, then I would say, then why are we picking and choosing ancestors who are wronged? So your fundamental thing is all people who are wronged in the past get some sort of reparations. That's not how life works. If a lion eats a deer or antelope or whatever is out there in the jungle, if a lion eats a zebra, the offspring, and that zebra already has offspring, the offspring don't get reparations from the lion. That's how nature works. So you help me understand, Maj, is your problem race relations? Then let's talk about it. Reparations ain't going to be the answer for that. But let's talk about there is no legislative, like it's a movement answer, cultural answer to that. So I didn't expect to kind of get off on that tangent, but I think it's a good discussion. Let me know what you think. We're staring evil in the face, and I talk about that very often, but I want to show you what evil looks like in as an example. Why do I use strong words? It's very strong words to say you're looking at evil. Minneapolis police officer, I'm sorry for mispronouncing, Tayo, sentenced for 5 years in prison for the death of George Floyd. And this is the opinion and written through Matt Wallace, who's very controversial, but I agree with him on this one, so I will use this. I have no problem using his tweet. I like using, actually, I was wondering to myself, like, am I using X too much? It's like everybody uses X, but I'm like, the beauty of using X is you can pick people on X to use. It's not like I would much rather use Matt Wallace than New York Times. As well, you want to make sure the source is accurate, but I would rather use that. I think all of this is accurate. I would rather use Broken Traditions or Broken Traditions tweeted this and use that instead of Washington Post tweeted this. I actually like this better, but all he did was ask people to step back as he is trained to do. So this is one of the ancillary officers that was trying to, as they're trained to keep the perimeter back, people back. Why are people closing in as a guy's, when he was on the ground, but be all the way up to that resisting arrest, and they Chauvin put his knee on him, and now he's trying to make sure the crowd's not, crowding in on him. There's no way that Tao could have known the criminal behind him was overdosing. So for some of it that I saw, I have to rewatch his action on it. He was away from the Chauvin issue. His back was turned to a lot of it, and he's worried about the crowd. So there's no way that he could have known the criminal behind him, George Floyd, was overdosing, which is fair to, I don't agree with that, in that my take is I don't know. I don't know if he overdosed, or I don't know if Chauvin killed him. I will say it's more likely to me that he was not healthy. I don't know if it's an overdose, but his years of drugs or whatever else, he wasn't healthy. His heart wasn't healthy. That was a fact. He had COVID in him. And if he were healthy, there's no way, in my opinion, Derek Chauvin could have killed him if he wanted to like that. He would have been like my kid laying on my back. George Floyd was a big dude. Big, strong dude. Derek Chauvin's a little weak dude. So it's not like he was using some MMA hold or something like that. He just had his knee on his back and I guess up to his shoulder a little bit. So my take is I don't know how he died. I don't go as far as Candace Owens. I don't have a problem with her saying that. I just don't know for sure. Overdosing. It isn't easy to act perfectly anyway when adrenaline is pumping in the moment like that. You never know if someone you are arresting has a buddy with a gun about to show up. Very true. It was imperative for him to be vigilant of the surroundings. Of course, he's not focusing on what's happening with the cop on the ground with him. He's focusing on everything else. And he did what he was taught to do. Despite knowing he's innocent, and that this is tough for me to see, man. This is tough to watch. I wish I could get his name right, but this Tao, this is tough to watch. This is really, really tough to watch. I'm gonna play the clip here, man. This is just and it's tough to watch, but to watch him, you see good versus evil as clear as you can probably see when I show you the judge in him. The officer chose not to get angry and instead asks if anybody wants him to pray for them. His family misses him dearly, and he will now be absent from a huge portion of their lives. Even after he gets out, he will now have no way to provide financially for his family. This is how he is treated after decades of service to our community. Does he get reparations, Maj? Meanwhile, rioters from the protests afterward are getting literal paychecks in some places and facing little to no consequences for burning down entire cities and causing dozens of deaths. Are you worried about the direction things are heading? Should Tao be pardoned? Is the justice system broken? This is the short version. This is haunting me right now.
Anyone else that would like prayers, you'll know where to find them. Thank you, Judge. God bless you.
To be perfectly honest, after 3 years of reflection, I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret. You are sentenced to 57 months in prison with credit for 340 days already served.
Anyone else?
So you hear Amir, I think this is the longer clip. I want to listen to this. Some things are tough to listen to, but I want to make myself listen to this. This is the officer. And to me, in this incident, I can't vouch for his character overall, but in this moment, he represents good. He represents fear of God. I don't know what his religion is. He represents good. The judge represents evil.
Now, to be perfectly honest, after 3 years of reflection, I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret, acknowledgement of some responsibility.
Look at this dude's face. This is the face of evil. This is, if you don't believe in the devil at this point or the Antichrist, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm not mincing the words. This is what, I don't know his character, but in this moment, this is what he represents directly. Knowing that he's on the wrong side of history in my face. That's why his face looks so fucked up right here. You see him looking so, like his face looks weird, like he's almost possessed. Look at his face.
Reflection. I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret, acknowledgement of some responsibility, and less preaching.
Less preaching. Did that sound like he was preaching to you? This is what he said. As he was getting sentenced, he said, not even for himself. He was like, anybody else, I kind of got the vibe, like I've been praying for myself and working on my faith, and anybody else need prayers?
Anyone else that would like prayers, you'll know where to find them.
That was his response to somebody who said, anybody else who needs prayers, you'll know where to find me. After he's sentenced to prison for doing nothing. This ain't about Trump. It's about this. Now, if you're in these blue areas, you're going to have to get wrecked. And that includes me. But it's bigger than Trump. They're coming for people. It's just a matter. They can't come for everybody. Not yet. They will when they get the electronic scanning. They'll come for you. They'll come for the Rippaverse. Oh, they will. I don't want to scare people on that or whatever, but oh yeah, when we are in a cashless society, they will do whatever they might say. Well, the Rippaverse needs to do this level of weather change adjustments with the factory to meet the standards of like a Disney who outsources it to whatever else, and they can burn billions of dollars on some green energy paper and then effectively try to choke out a small business like Rippaverse. That's not happening tomorrow, but we're on that path. This is the type of evil we're seeing right here. You got to see it again.
Anyone else that would like prayers, you'll know where to find them. Thank you, Judge. God bless you.
He said, and well, that was clipped at the end, I believe, and they added in there. And then so the judge is going to go on his spiel, and then at the end he says, thank you, Judge. I'm thinking, bitch ass nigga, you a ban, but he is better than me. He's representing good. I'm representing falling victim to your emotions. He's representing the officer representing goodness in the face of losing your freedom. That's what prison is. You are a slave. That's why there's still the clause in the Constitution that you can get enslaved for this reason. So they just turned him into a slave. He says, if anybody needs a prayer, I got you. You know where to find me. I'm going to do a prayer for you. And that's what look what this bitch ass nigga responded as.
Tell. To be perfectly honest, after 3 years of reflection, I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret, acknowledgement of some responsibility.
What you're seeing right now is the reason I said we have to break it up. You do not have a right to judge me, sir. I'd be damned if I go into a courtroom and get judged by this. It's time to put the foot down. I'm peaceful. This is enough. You do not, and you look at the juries that they're going to get for DC and Trump and all that. Forget about Trump. The people they're going to get, you're going to get a bunch of people like this band right here. I do not recognize your ability to judge me on anything in life, sir. You represent pure evil. And I was chatting with somebody and somebody said, I think the judge is right. And I said, there's no right or wrong. I know that you think that's good. You think the officer's evil. I think he's evil. And I think the officer's good. So that's why we shouldn't share a society together. It's not a joke. Because at some point, the way that we are designed is that you have a prosecutor that will choose who to prosecute, and you'll have a bunch of your peers and a jury in front of you and a judge. And if fundamentally, F politics, F Democrats, F Republicans, F the law, morally, what's in your heart, you don't have the courage to do the right thing. You don't get to judge me.
Unless preaching.
Did you hear him preach? He said, if anybody needs a prayer, you know to find me. That's not evangelizing. That's not preaching. You're the one doing preaching evil.
And I'm not going to.
With that fucked up look on your face. I think the jokes it's time. I mean, they're hemming up the Michigan 16. This is not this is one of the ugliest times we've ever seen as far as looking back in history. This equates to, you can look at any point that is similar to where we are in our decline. It's as ugly as you can find.
I'm not going to rehash all the facts from my order.
I know you're not. I know you're not going to do that because it's all bullshit.
Which I found that the things you did and the things you didn't do make you guilty of this crime.
Oh, the things he didn't do. Like he was going to what? Stop from blocking the crowd off and jump on Derek Chauvin like, I'm doing this for critical race theory, and tackle him and then become a hero. What he didn't do. What did you want him to do?
I can rehash all that.
No, you're not.
Suffice it to say that I think your culpability is less than Mr. Chauvin.
Oh.
But well above Mr. King and Mr. Lane.
Oh, really?
As an experienced senior officer.
Oh, okay.
Who was in the best position to save George.
Because the other ones were there. I mean, I think one of them, was it the first day? I forget. I haven't followed the Floyd. I was deep into the Floyd stuff back then, but I think, was it the first day or something like that? It was one of them was really young in their career, and he was more experienced.
George Floyd. Accordingly, it's my belief that a sentence at the top of the range would be condign punishment. So as to count 2, having been found guilty by the court of aiding and abetting manslaughter in the 2nd degree, after a trial pursuant to Minnesota Rule of Criminal Procedure 26.01 subdivision 3, judgment of the court is that you are convicted of that offense. Count 1 is dismissed pursuant to the negotiation. You are sentenced to 57 months in prison with credit for 340 days already served. This sentence will be concurrent with your federal sentences.
I apologize, Your Honor.
And will be served at a federal facility designated by the United States Bureau of Prisons. Upon release from your federal sentence, you will be transferred to the Minnesota Department of Corrections to serve the remainder of your state sentence unless alternative arrangements are made with the United States Bureau of Prisons. Your provided DNA sample is required by law, and you are prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition for the remainder of your life. Pay a $50 fine, $75 surcharge, and $3 law library fee from prison wages. Any questions?
Oh, no. God bless you, sir.
All right. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know. That's wild. Just it's unacceptable. That should not be the same country. His answer is no, Judge. God bless you.
Sentence unless alternative arrangements are made with the United States Bureau of Prisons. Your provided DNA sample is required by law, and you are prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition for the remainder of your life. Pay a $50 fine, $75 surcharge, and $3 law library fee from prison wages. Any questions?
Oh, no. God bless you, sir.
All right. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Whew. That's a tough one. I don't even know what to say. It's one of the most, I say that every day, so it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's one of the most sickening things I've seen in a long time. Just absolute madness, and nobody does anything. If I were a governor of a state, I would say you've got safe haven. You can come over here as a sanctuary, because I'm seeing what's happening over there, and I don't like it. That simple. Mike Cernovich says, as these legalized lynchings continue, cities become houses of horror. Does anyone believe the world would have been better off with this man in prison and George Floyd running free? And that's what we've got. I don't know why anybody would want to be a cop at this point. Why would you want to be a cop? If you're going to be a cop, you better be in the right area, that's for sure. You better be in the area that has a red DA. You can't be in a blue area, unless you agree with the blue ideology. And even then, that's dangerous, but you'll be better off. That's what our society has come to. And you're also a bigot if you don't agree, on top of that. Let me take a look at the chat. Appeal. Yeah, you got appeal. He's been in jail already a year, right? Hey, Maj, is he going to get reparations? Is that how that work? That's slavery, going to prison. He's been wronged. You know, you can sue, but he's not going to have the position to sue. They're locking him up. They rather lock him up than deal with the mob of NPCs outside the court. I don't think they were literally there, but, figured because they weren't following the case. But maybe if they would have let him off, it probably would have been. They probably had a bunch of George Soros-filled, maybe allegedly Antifa members in a van waiting. I wouldn't be surprised. Jessica Mai. Long time no see, friend of the show. Jessica, we were talking about Cornel West back in the day, and then this bro running for president now. Because he has the personality to do it. And I haven't seen her in a long time. Thank you for stopping by, Jessica. Probably at work taking a break. Appreciate you. Metalopoly says liberal blue cities don't deserve police. Just let the gangs and cartels have them. Let them get what they voted for. And Metalopoly always got a little twisted there. He's like, not only get what they voted for, but get it good and hard. I agree. You should get what you vote for. There was that video that went viral, and I don't know if it was fake or not. So the video went viral, and this is about the woman in San Francisco. And it was kind of like, okay, she did another video that was a follow-up, and it was just a different personality, because I think the first one was more into the actual crime. This one was, somebody said, well, was the person black? And then she started acting all weird. So that kind of, I'm not gonna go into that topic, but that reminds me of the Daniel Perry, all that kind of stuff. It looks like R.A. the Rugged Man did reply as I'm going on Twitter looking at my different links here. Let me see here. R.A. the Rugged Man, so this is the first time I've seen this in real time here. I'll show it on the screen. R.A. the Rugged Man replies to me and he says, teaching, so if you don't know, there's a video that I had here. I'll play it since some people might, it's very short, so.
The re-embodiment of a lot of these same problems.
What's your biggest fear of critical race theory that's going to happen? A white boy comes home and goes like, Mom, are we evil? That's your biggest fear?
That's messed up.
But is that your biggest fear?
No.
Is that your biggest fear that you think that?
But is that?
Yeah, for me it is, yeah. It's probably, what's bigger than a kid coming home saying, am I evil because of the color of my skin? Help me out. What's more evil than that? I don't know.
Right? Is that okay? My fear
yes, it is okay.
Do you think that is okay?
Yes, it is okay.
You
yes,
think someone
I do believe,
learning to hate themselves
no,
is okay?
they're not hating themselves. They ask the question. Like, they look at their history and say, look at all the evil white people have done in America.
And authority figures are saying
yeah,
it's only... But why are we only focusing on them? Why not all the other evils?
There's a lot of other things being taught in school, so why are you only...
Why aren't Japanese people told the same thing?
Why aren't you only focusing on critical race theory like it's the boogeyman, like it's the scariest thing
so
that
that's
ever happened?
the video if you didn't see it. And then so R.A. replies, teaching American history to our children and not hiding it from them is not anti-white politics. You all find a new fear-mongering boogeyman every few months. Ooh, CRT is coming. Are USA kids really so fragile you're scared learning history will hurt their feelings? So there's nothing really for me to apply to that. He didn't address well, I did. In this one, I just asked him how you describe it. So I guess he says it's not anti-white, it's teaching American history. So we'll just leave it at that. Let me see here. Yeah, I do have a couple. Man, this was, I didn't know this. This is something that just came up. It's pretty hot off the presses. It's trending on Twitter right now. Have y'all heard about this in Michigan? Was popping off? I didn't know about this. The election stuff. Well, Cuyahoga Falls, I know they're having beef over there over issue 1 or voting. But it was an article by let me show my chat. I was looking at Chat GPT to break down this article here, and I'll show it on the screen. You don't want to miss this. I'm going to do this and I'll be out. This will be I always say that, then I do it more topic. No, this will be my last topic. My last topic for real. So there's an article that came out from, let me see if I can get this here. An article that came out from Gateway Pundit. And I have to look to see, because often with these articles, they're sourced through somebody else. So I want to see if it's originating from them or is it sourced through them. And the Gateway Pundit was, I think Gateway Pundit was trained. I don't know if I've seen that before. And this is a election. So let me show you what was trending on Twitter from Gateway Pundit. Here's the headline. Election. Now we have proof. Kind of don't like the title of it, but now we have proof. TGP, the Gateway Pundit exclusive. Massive 2020 voter fraud uncovered in Michigan. Police find tens of thousands of fake registrations, bags of prepaid gift cards, guns with silencers, burner phones, and a Democratic-funded organization with multiple. And let me bring that up. So let's go bigger. Just go into the story now. So it's a pretty big story. It's been going on for a while, this investigation. There's been so many that I don't even remember this one. They said special thanks to Phil O'Halloran and Lori Skiebo for their contributions and assistance with the story. The two election integrity activists obtained a copy of the state police report and began investigating the story in June. Oh, so it's not as new as I thought then, maybe. Phil, now chairman of the Michigan Republican Party's Election Integrity Committee. I wonder, because they started searching this around time. They went after the Michigan 16. Director, that's before that, but the director of the Michigan GOP's poll challenger program brought it to our attention and are assisting our research of this story. So I might read this pretty in depth here. On October 8, 2020, only 1 month before the 2020 general election, Muskegon, Michigan City Clerk Ann Meisch noticed a black female whose name was redacted from the police report, dropping off between 8,000 and 10,000 completed voter registration applications at the city clerk's office. 8,000 to 10,000. Didn't Crowder got a strike on YouTube? I believe it was Michigan. I believe it was him running around Michigan looking at the voter registration, voter rolls, and the address attached to it, and didn't find properties. And he got a strike, I believe, for that. I don't know if that's related to this, but it's just coming to mind. The Muskegon Police Department, Muskegon, Michigan. That's not like a. I mean, that's not a like a. That's not where Detroit's in Wayne County. I don't know. That's a weird. So like maybe they went out to Muskegon to try to do this type of stuff. Was contacted and asked to investigate. On October 2020, First Lieutenant Mike Anderson was contacted by Tom Fabus, Chief of Investigations, asked for Michigan State Police assistance with a joint investigation of alleged voter fraud being conducted by the Muskegon Police Department and the AG. The task force was formed and an investigation was initiated. And what we saw here is that Anmesh, they contacted the police. This is from the report. Muskegon City Clerk became suspicious after hand-delivered these 8,000 to 10,000, many of them in the same handwriting. In the report is what it's saying here. They could see that it's the same handwriting. Red flags. In October, so they went through this here. The suspect returned again, is it? A different time, and brought additional 2,500 forms. So this person's like, this looks real shady. They contacted the police and a detective, Logan Anderson, and they conducted non-custodial interview with the suspect. They probably said, you're doing too good of a job. You ever do too good at your job where it's like, slow down, you showing up you came with 8,000 to 10,000 allegedly fake registration cards. Your average, whatever you want to call them, donkey, they're coming with 1 or 2. You're showing everybody up. That's probably is that how the interview went? Mice stated that in her opinion, the quantity of voter registration forms were highly suspicious. No shit. It's just 8,000 to 10,000. How often does that happen? Just no shame. Kind of like Biden with the whole bribery and stuff. They did a little bit through shell companies, but it was almost like, we run this now. Like, we did we could do whatever we want to do. We did the pandemic. Like, it was this, and, we didn't need to do half the stuff, and we can do anything we want with impunity. It was all for, remember, it wasn't rigging the election. Remember, it was fortifying the election. This isn't election fraud. It's an election fortification, meaning it was destiny for Joe Brandon to win. This was just helping that destiny along. It wasn't fraud. YouTube, it's not fraud. It's not rigging. It's fortifying. It's kind of like making a fort around the goodness that is Joe Biden. That's all that was. I'm sure this didn't play a role. Mesh investigated further and found that the phone numbers on multiple forms were erroneous and signatures on multiple forms didn't appear to match the signatures. So they're saying the handwriting is the same. They came with 8 to 10. This is allegedly through this report. She came through with 8 to 10,000 voter registration cards. Like, well, where you get all that from? What's it? And then you look at it like, damn, it looks like your handwriting in all of the cards that I see. Then on top of that, the phone numbers aren't right. Like, what's 1111111? That's not a phone number. And then on multiple forms, the signatures didn't match the signatures on file with the Department of Secretary of State. So you see the selective prosecution persecution. If you have a Democrat AG, they can let it go. You can have laws. I don't know what the Michigan law is on this stuff. Just hypothetically, if you have laws against ballot harvesting, for example, if a state has a law that makes it illegal to ballot harvest, it's not illegal if the AG that would prosecute it wants you to ballot harvest. They can select, like, it's kind of like California. You can steal up to $900 and we won't do anything. So it's like, oh, and then you run up in the jewelry store, take $2 million, and it's like, man, your skin's kind of dark. We'll let you go. So it's like you're driving on the highway. You're going with the flow of traffic. Maybe the speed limit is 65. You're going 80 with the flow of traffic. The only people that get pulled over are you. That's what the power is. It's selective prosecution that is one of the biggest weakness that George Soros has. That's why he's funded through, in my opinion, allegedly funded through these different outlets to control DAs, because he's like, the DAs have a localized power, decentralized taking over. So he's like, if these DAs go the wrong way, that's why you saw what happened with Ken Paxton, AG, get him up out of there, impeach him. They have some power, so we got to control them. Oh, here's the part where I was talking about Steven Crowder. Then on top of it, the addresses do not exist in the Muskegon City House numbering system. Another form listed 80 West Southern Ave, which is the address for Muskegon High School, and is clearly not a residence. Wasn't that the state that Steven Crowder was doing that video on? I got to go back to that. So she came in with 8,000 to 10,000 fraudulent, allegedly, voter registration cards. The numbers aren't right. The signatures are all with the same handwriting. The signatures don't match the signatures on file, and the addresses aren't real. Other than that, everything's fine. Everything's okay. And when did they come in? They probably came in, the actual votes probably came in after the midnight count. Let me guess. You go to sleep, Trump's up. You wake up, they haven't counted the voters that came in through Muskegon High School. You have to laugh I have to laugh not to cry. And so the Michigan State Police investigator assigned to this case spoke with the female suspect, who explained that she was getting paid. She was getting paid $1,150 a week to find unregistered voters and provide them with a form so they can get registered to vote, or obtain their absentee ballot. The only problem is the handwriting on the voter registrations were the same on several registrations. So if you're getting paid that much money, you're going to make sure it happens. And then the other person has plausible deniability. I don't know if this payment is legal or not. I'm not making that accusation. But what I'm saying is the person that's doing the paying will say, well, I didn't tell that nigga to do write-in signatures. I just paid them. So you can see that it's going to stop at the donkey or the mule. Attorney General Dana Nessel, this is the one going after the Michigan 16, who is currently attempting, well, they put it right there, prosecute 15 senior citizens and the former Michigan GOP chair for casting an alternate set of votes, asked the Michigan State Police to join the Muskegon Police in AG's investigation of the potentially massive multi-city voter fraud operation. So they might come in and say, like, how do we get out of this? And I think the way you get out of this is to bring the feds in. Let's see what happens. 2 members of Dana Nessel's Criminal Investigation Division were assigned to the operation, yet curiously, she failed to mention the investigation to the public. So this was not publicly mentioned. So I have the ability to question and wonder and even make an accusation. Why wouldn't you mention it to the public? To this day, still claiming there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud. I guess 8 to 10,000 is that's not widespread. I mean, how many more? What's widespread? 10, 20, 30? I think they said Trump lost by over 100,000. So they're like, that's not widespread. You probably had to get to 100,000 before you start calling something widespread. It's not a legal term, by the way. It's just opinion. If this is what we know, like if you're in your crib and you see one roach, you probably have more than one roach. If you look into the woodwork of your house and there's one termite, I'm going to probably guess you have more than one termite. Despite the fact that she knew her office and the office of her friend, Michigan's crooked, I do know she's crooked, so I will say that because I do know this name. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson were involved with the Michigan State Police in a large-scale investigation that took place across the state before it was taken over by The federal government, the FBI. Because if it gets to that, Dana Nessle's like, I haven't mentioned it publicly. I can't hide this. I'm not going to be able to hide this forever. Who's going to be able to take it over? I'm surprised they didn't try to get it to the Capitol Police to protect it behind FOIA. Oh, somebody in Michigan made like the kidnapping thing. Oh, somebody made a accusation or a thing to a congressperson and kind of take care of this voter fraud allegedly stuff too and protect it behind FOIA. Surprised they didn't do that. Maybe they'll open up a Capitol Police office in Michigan if they haven't already, and that's where they'll slide all this kind of stuff. So that's well, is there more here? Let me take a look and see. This should be noted that after documenting these crimes and investigation for weeks, the Michigan police turned the investigation over to the FBI, who promptly buried the findings. Surprise, surprise, because you're doing the bidding of the masters. The Democrat-controlled corporation, which is really Vanguard and State Street and BlackRock. That's the real. When we say they, that's who we really mean when we say they. They're the ones running everything through the Democrat and corporate Republicans, Mitch McConnell's and corporate Democrats and the FBI. So if they were investigating, the FBI failed to follow up on alleged election crimes, according to Michigan election investigators. So the FBI didn't do it. Like just like they had the Biden laptop since 2019, I believe, the end of 2019, and it hasn't been verified. Why hasn't it not been verified? Because it was on somebody's desk and they didn't look at it. That's why, because they knew it was probably real. It's like don't touch it, don't open it, because now if you open it, then you have to say we know. Don't touch that thing. The police report has redactions throughout. Yeah, I'm sure it's all legit redactions, but not all names were redacted. The police report names GBI Strategies as the organization running the scheme. The Tennessee-based group is heavily connected to the Biden campaign and various Democrat campaign committees. The release report also names Brillis, I don't know how that pronounced that or what that is, as a primary person involved. So there's more here. There's a lot here to unpack. I think we've seen a lot to kind of digest at this point. It's kind of like I don't want to eat too much food because it's like I'm absorbing the information and the data, and I'm like I don't want to eat too much food because it's hard to figure out where am I at. I don't know. Does anybody know more about that story? That's just came out today. Toy Mafia says, yo, YouTube helped in the crime. There was a lot of people involved. When you go back to the Time magazine, they laid it out. The Time magazine article laid all of this out. They did it vaguely, but they said there's people of all sectors that were involved, whether it's communication, whether it's media, whether it's election, and they were doing the good thing. Just like that judge punishing the officer. He was doing a good thing. Metalopoly says, I remember Crowder tracked down some of those addresses, so it was the same one. Yeah, I saw that one live. I saw that stream live, and then it was later taken down by YouTube, I believe, and got struck. Some were under highways, overpasses, abandoned apartments. Some of them belonged to a missing Hillary Clinton staffer. I remember that. That was a great episode. I haven't watched Crowder in a minute. Yeah, it's just haven't had time, but that was a great episode of Crowder. It really was. Isn't this what Two Mules was about? I think Mules was more about the actual ballots, to my knowledge. I haven't watched it in a minute. I got to rewatch it. So let me be careful. I like to be really precise with this kind of stuff. But I think this is voter registration, so it's a little bit different. But Mules was a part of it on the back end. So you see, they got it on the front end. You got to get them. You got to get them registered. If you don't have them registered, then you can't do the Mules on the back end. So this was the front end. Like while we're arguing Trump, DeSantis, they're on their next hit. So for 2020, they were doing all kinds of that stuff and Zuckerberg drop boxes and changing the laws without going through the legislative process because of the flu. So they did all that kind of stuff. And while everybody's debating like Biden versus Trump or whatever, they're laughing their ass off like Biden versus Trump. Biden's in his basement. He was doing rallies with like 5 people sitting in circles in a driveway. They're like, these idiots are arguing Trump versus Biden, and Trump's destroying Biden in the debates, and everybody's like, yeah, Trump, and they're like, they don't even know. And so right now, and then for the midterms in 2022, they went with the FTX. So they had Sam Bankman-Fried defraud people in the country and do a Ponzi scheme, steal millions upon millions of dollars. Then they propped up the MAGA candidates in the primaries. And they said, yeah, MAGA candidates, knowing the whole time, everybody's excited. I'm doing videos. The red wave's coming. The red wave is coming. And they're in the background looking at the videos like, these niggas is stupid. They probably can't hold themselves from laughing. They prop up the MAGA candidates. I'm like, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. And then I go on the live stream, and then it's like slowly the night goes. Ray Studio's on the live with me, and it becomes real somber. And it's like, when you watch that live back, it's like, everybody start getting more sad, like, damn, this don't look like this ain't the red wave. This ain't red. Like, this ain't a wave, and this ain't red. And the whole time they're laughing their ass off because they had pumped money to get Blake Masters up out of there, to get that's the gubernatorial, but to get Mastriano up out of there. They then the money behind the corporate Democrats through the Ponzi scheme money that they stole from people. And then Sam Bankman-Fried is, next thing you know, he's off to the Bahamas or wherever he's at. And Maxine Waters is blowing this nigga kisses. And now one of the guys who took money from them is now the Speaker of the House. They're just like, man, we got y'all. And then people go on and say 2024, the answer is to vote. I don't want to tell anybody what to do. I'm not going to be a part of suppressing vote. But if you look at all this from 2020 to 2022, and you think that going to a voting booth, even let's assume the election is all up and up, you think going to a voting booth is going to fix this stuff right here? I don't see it. Man, that was crazy. Metopoly says, you guys don't get it. They had to destroy democracy in order to save the democracy. Remember the New York Times article that pretty much said that? Yeah, I think that was one of those articles where they changed the title. I forgot. That wasn't the exact title. Damn, I forgot. But I know what you're doing. That's the gist of it. Don't forget, in order to save democracy, we've got to destroy democracy. Don't forget that. These people are wild, man. These people are evil like that judge, man. I appreciate that clip to see that judge in his natural form. Like, that's what he is. Like, to see him like fixing his face, that's the same type of justification, same type of fixing of their face they probably did to hide all that stuff there. I'm gonna go out with Black Pegasus. Black Pegasus his channel is just blowing up and doing great stuff. He's still doing. I don't know how this brother finds so much time, but I like the positivity. I like his vibe. He hasn't compromised anything about his beliefs, what he's doing. But let me go ahead and play this video. I'm gonna be out. Thanks for Black Pegasus. Thanks for everybody for stopping by. Appreciate you. It's been fun, and I am out.
It's your boy Black Pegasus, Chef Premier on the track. Yeah, class is now in session. Only deal with the facts, fam. Scalp your head with an axe. Damn. Lose my mind to track fans. Now I'm getting brains. Came here to clear the waves. Help your ears like hearing aids. Oh shit, flow sick. Probably think you hearing aids. Through the lens quadruple. Eyeball to the pupil. No need to shoot you. High moral scruple. No. Who knows the tightest? They came here to blind us. Something smells fishy cause they want to sign us. Tongue spit that rhythm style. Cat acting stupid now. You know the drill. You want the crown? Well, first comes that root canal. Watch what you say in this game and your dealings. They'll put the medal in mouth with no feelings. Chin up, get respect. Put it down, protect your neck. You know the deal, a vet's a vet.
They at your throat to stretch your set.
It takes heart to hurt them. Chest keeps on burning. Controversy sells, so they Howard Stern them. Not your shoulder to cry on. Not related to die long. Got your back, watch the traps that they do, they flies on. Bygones, the gov wants to see all your hands free. Pythons, they'll take all your arms like
amputee.
Living on the edge, we can tell you love the streets, but don't push the button of the belly of the beast. Caged up like ribs, cause we know you love your hood. Locked down in quads, cause you so misunderstood. I fuck American idols, let them make my lumber good. Holding my balls is what she carry Underwood. Now she's sitting there on bended knee. You ass out tending to those female tendencies. I'm going ham with the strings that I pull. Cab raisers raising calves to compete with your bull. Tow trucks, cause you taken from the streets. That's your Achilles heel and how you
meet the fee.
Listen to this track, beginning to the end. That's that arm, leg, arm, head. I said, I complete the flow
from head to toe.
The anatomy of Black P.
On you hard, on you hard, on you hard.